Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to another episode of Dan Tony Sports. My name is Dan Snyder, and after some technical difficulties, I think that we are up and ready to go. I am joined by Dan O'Shea and Tony Casper, like usual, and we've also got Dan Beebe here helping us get through this episode. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Pretty good.
Doing great.
Perfect. I'm glad you are all here tonight. We got a ton of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about the NFL season. I've made my predictions. We're going to just completely blast what I've done. We're going to talk about the dumpster fire that is the New York Knicks. We're going to talk a little bit about other NBA free agency and some other stuff. And we'll have our first ever Lonzo Ball 2017-2018 NBA MVP watch update.
Watch out, get hyped.
Yes.
Summer MVP already.
Yeah. So we're going to get to all that in just a minute. But first, like always, we have our pigskin poetry. So Megatron might come back to play. Not in Detroit, but in the Bay. He might not be done catching touchdowns, but now he might be catching them for Oaktown. Joining Beast Mode on his comeback tour, with him they won't struggle to score. Does adding him make them the top, or is it still the Patriots you need to stop? Will the Super Bowl be theirs to lose? Should they trade for Victor Cruz? That's a joke, I didn't mean it. If he's played well lately, I haven't seen it. Back to the Raiders and let's get serious. Are their fans just being delirious? Could they win, or is there no way? What do their fans have to say? Marshawn is here. He's gonna save us and win us a ring before they move to Vegas. Will they be right or will they be wrong? The Raiders were my Super Bowl prediction all along. The season's close, so let's sit back and watch. I'm taking bets. Will Marshawn grab his crotch?
Yes.
Yes. Take that bet any day of the week.
Yes.
Odds probably aren't good. I'm sure that bet exists in Vegas as a prop bet.
I hope it does. All right, guys.
I'm gonna find out.
Yeah, we'll look into it. So we're gonna kick the night off in the absolute right way. We're gonna discuss the 2017-2018 NFL season, and I have gone through and predicted the result of every game, not the score, just the win-loss. And what we're going to do is we're going to reveal the conferences. We're going to say what place each team is going to finish, and we'll give their record, and then you guys can just absolutely tear me apart. We'll do it one by one, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, you guys have a preference for where we start?
No preference at all.
Yeah, I figured you had some system, so.
No, I was just gonna, just go. We'll start with the AFC East. We have two AFC East fans, two NFC East fans. So I'll go through the four teams, give their records, then we'll discuss. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Coming in fourth place out of the AFC East, we have the New York Jets with a record of 1-15. In third place, we have the Buffalo Bills with a record of 6-10. In second place, what was that?
That's being friendly, I think.
Maybe. In second place, we have the Miami Dolphins with a record of 11-5, and in first place, we have the New England Patriots with a record of 11-5. So let's open the floor for debate. What you got, Dan O'Shea? I can already see it in your face.
All right. 1-15 is insanity. That's saying that they're the worst team in the league.
They are.
They're not. The Browns are still the worst.
No,
And
no way.
The Browns are worse than the Jets, absolutely.
The Browns have a quarter-back. The Browns have an offensive
They don't have
line.
a quarterback. They have Osweiler. That's not a quarterback.
Brock Lobster.
Brock
That's
Lobster.
as much of a quarterback as Hackenberg is. That's
No.
not a quarterback.
No, that's
Whoa,
insulting.
whoa.
No,
Let's-
Hackenberg probably doesn't deserve to be playing in the CFL.
Whoa.
He is hitting more reporters than receivers.
Yeah, I get it. I for a second,
All right,
I
he
thought
hit
you...
one reporter. Can we stop this
Yeah.
bullcrap
Okay,
narrative?
all right, then-
he hit one reporter, and
Okay.
it was the receiver's fault.
Okay,
Yeah,
It
and
was
I-
the
I
receiver's
will
fault.
take that out of the equation then. There's still massive number of reports that he is having trouble hitting receivers in stride with nobody in his face.
Okay, there's
no one
reports.
playing
We've
defense.
seen Osweiler do the same thing.
We've also seen Osweiler have really good games and keep the Houston
Like
Texans in the
once.
game against the Patriots.
Well,
like once.
I think Brock Osweiler. Everybody has an opinion that Brock Osweiler is a little better than he is because his teams have been able to help him out in these situations a lot more than it's necessarily his credit for winning them these games. It's basically his credit for not blowing them.
And not to mention the Browns lost Pryor, who was their playmaker. Terrell Pryor was their playmaker. Now he's gone.
Problem with that,
who's going
though,
to step into that role?
Well, the problem with that, the big problem I have with that is who was throwing him the ball. How do you know that the other players aren't going to be as good? He was the only target for no quarterback.
Yeah, but now you have a quarterback with no
could get open. Yeah. So they're going to be in the same situation where they're going to win like 2 games.
No, we'll
There's
talk
no
about
way that the Jets are worse than them.
Yes, they are.
I would love the Darnold pick. I would like if the Jets.
He doesn't want to play for the Jets.
I don't.
That's
All right.
not his choice.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. He's going to stay in school.
Maybe.
Well, that's dumb if
down.
he does. Honestly, that's dumb.
Well,
like you refuse a multi-million-dollar contract because you don't want to play for a team for a couple of years.
Well, he's just going to get it the next season.
Yeah, if he doesn't get his legs broken in college football.
We know what he's rooting for in the next football season. If Donald doesn't even go to the draft, he's like, I hope you break your legs next year now.
Well, I don't think the Jets are going to be at the top of the draft, so it's probably a moot point. They're going to be near the top. They're going to be second or third. I think the Browns and the Jaguars are the 2 teams that I would consider worse than them. The Jaguars, though, that's based on last season. 2 seasons ago, they looked like a great team, so who knows what will show up this
season.
season.
I can understand your argument when you want to bring the Browns into the equation. Jacksonville, I feel, is underrated, but I do agree with you that they're sporadic.
So here, I'm going to go through.
What is going to show up for Jacksonville?
I'm going to go through the Jets' schedule. I want you to tell me what games they're going to win. All right, at Buffalo, they're not winning that.
Possible.
They won it last year.
At Oakland,
no, that's definitely not.
Against Miami, they're not winning that.
They like to split games with Miami, and it's actually usually, I think with Miami and the Jets, it's usually they both lose at home. So they could win against Miami and then lose against Miami later in the season.
Let's start with this. Who's the prospect for QB? Is it going to be Bryce Petty? Is it Ryan Fitzpatrick?
No, it's not Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Definitely not Fitzpatrick.
It's what's his name?
McCown.
McCown.
Possibly.
Josh McCown, who's going to get hurt the first week.
If McCown starts, that means that Hackenberg and Petty are pretty much trash because you only give the reins to McCown if you don't see any potential in the young guys.
Petty could be okay. But, I mean, it seems like they're working out Hackenberg. And if he's third on the depth chart this year, Hackenberg's done. His NFL career's over.
I would say so.
He's a clipboard holder for the rest of his life at best.
Yeah, it's really bad. Next game is one that I fought back and forth on. I really did. Is Jacksonville. They could win that.
That could go either way.
Okay, I have Jacksonville winning it in a toss-up.
I would say Jacksonville.
It's going to be a close game. That is going to be a less than a touchdown.
It's at Jacksonville, right?
No, it's at New York.
Oh, it's at New York?
How early in the year?
4th week.
I still say Jacksonville wins it.
Again, I don't know what Jacksonville team's going to show up. If it's good Jacksonville from 2 years ago, then they'll blow us out of the water. If it's Jacksonville from last year, then the Jets will take it.
And then at Cleveland, which I think Cleveland is better than the Jets. I really do.
I still don't think Cleveland has enough to beat New York.
Really? Okay, I just want to. Who do the Jets have lost everything? They have no offensive line. They still have one of the best D lines in the league. They just picked up 2 great safeties. Okay, yeah, they have one of the best D lines in the league.
Anyway.
They have one of the best D lines in the league, except the fact that 2 of them don't even want to play.
Well, that's just reports from last year.
On the mentality of the locker room.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really say that when it was a team that was just in a rut last year.
Well, there was dysfunction from offense. Brandon Marshall, the leaders on offense and the leaders on defense were not getting along.
Right.
And that just creates a bad, sour environment in New York.
They still have the same coach. The coach lost the locker room. Same head coach. He's still there.
That's bothersome to me, but I still think it constitutes at least 3-4 wins.
I do not think so. I think 2 is really being generous.
And there's where we differ.
And Vegas has them at 4, so I'm gonna side closer to Vegas than you because Vegas
I would probably
is
split
usually
the difference.
right.
I'd say 3.
Okay.
They'll win 3. I would split the difference between Vegas. I think Vegas is saying high. That might have something to do with their schedule.
And then the only other one that appears winnable to me would be at New Orleans.
But that's who.
And it also depends on the Carolina team.
Breeze could pick apart their
That's
the
what
one bright
always
spot on
concerns me, though.
defense.
And I can't wait until we get to the NFC South, because the NFC South is always a cluster. You never know who's coming out of this. You never know who's going to be dead last.
6 years in a row, 6 different winners in the
I know.
NFC South.
It's a free-for-all. It's a grab bag.
A carnival. I love it. I think, actually, going back to the Jaguars game, I think that game is key because if they lose that game, I think that sets the tone for the rest of the season, and maybe they do go 1 or 2 wins. I don't think there's any way they go
I could
0.
see that putting
But
the
if they
nail in
win
their
that
season.
game, then I think they beat Cleveland, and then I think they have enough in them to beat some of these bad teams.
Here's the thing, though. The first 3 weeks, they play Buffalo, who has a decent defense. They play Oakland, who has a really good defense, and they play Miami, who has a very strong defense.
I think
So
can
there's
beat
no way
Buffalo.
McCown is getting through those 3 weeks.
I think I'm going to be at the Buffalo game.
Oh, repping Dan D'Antoni. We're going to have to get you a shirt to hand out to people.
We should do that, 'cause
and
I go to at least one game a year.
They beat them
easily.
with Fitztragic last year when I attended.
Who'd they beat?
Buffalo. At Buffalo.
Okay.
NFL was that
I mean, and this
opened
might...
the season, didn't it? Was the first game?
Might have been, it was either first or second. It was definitely warm out. And then they can split with Miami. I think the Patriots are too good this year, and the Jets are too bad this year for them to split that like they normally would.
My argument for why I have them beating the Patriots in Foxborough. The Patriots are going to have their position secured by Week 15, and they're not going to want to get Tom Brady hurt.
That's always a possibility.
That's what I have.
I don't. Do they rest full games though? I feel like
They
they
don't
always
rest full
trot
games,
them
but
out
it
for at least like a
definitely
quarter or
doesn't.
2.
It still just doesn't seem
they
like they're
can't,
really in it.
If there's no chance at them advancing their position, they're not going to play Tom Brady at all.
But I don't think that's going to be the case because I think Raiders are going to be on their heels.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think-
know if
they're
they'll
not
knock
to be
off
able
home.
to.
I think Raiders are going to be the best team in the NFL. I have that.
If the Raiders have already locked up home and they're secured for number 2, or they're the number 1, I see your argument. Other than that, I still think they play.
If they're secure, I think as you said, if they don't have a way to advance or they're not worried about someone taking the 1 seed away from them, then they could rest them, and the Jets would get a useless victory, and that would just be
That's
very
what I
poetic.
think. That's what I
because
think
it
it
would,
is.
It would just ruin. It would just hurt their draft position at that point.
Like I said, that's literally what I think it is. I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay, so let's move on from there. The Jets are bad.
Really quickly, I just wanted to touch on one other thing. You talked about Fitztragic. I would take Fitzpatrick over McCown, over Petty, over Hackenberg any day of the week.
I haven't seen Hackenberg play. I've just heard rumors.
As a Penn State
You don't
fan,
have to.
as a Penn State fan, he was not good in college.
He was his freshman year, and that was a pro-style offense under Bill O'Brien.
Then what's his excuse for the last years he's been in the NFL?
He
Or
hasn't played in the NFL.
Well, the way that the season went last year, you might as well have thrown him in at certain points.
Bryce Petty will be the starting quarterback by week 4, and not because he beats out McCown. Because McCown gets beat.
I could actually
Beat up
see,
and gets helicoptered like he did against the Jets
I
last year.
think
2 years ago.
Hackenberg does start a game this year. I think he does. Either by
Because
force
Bryce Petty gets
or
hurt.
because
You
the
have to.
Jets
You
just
have
have to see what they have.
Exactly. You have to trot them
throw him
out.
to the wolves. If he gets eaten, he gets eaten.
If McCown's starting, that means it's full steam ahead, tank, lose every game. Because that means McCown is not who you want leading you if you think you're an actual playoff caliber.
I mean,
Obviously,
or
and or
mid-tier
duh.
it really depends, because if he starts the season because their thing is Bryce Petty, he's still recovering from that injury, Christian Hackenberg isn't ready yet, so we're going to give McCown the keys, and he goes, let's say this first game against the Bills, he goes 21 of 35 for 280 yards, 4 touchdowns. Well then, damn, you keep him in. You keep him going, because the Bills have a good defense.
True. The Bills are actually,
Well, they just lost one of their corners.
We've
so I
spent
don't
a
think
lot
they're-
of. They
they're
lost
as
a lot.
good.
They lost a lot
secondary.
of stuff.
Yeah,
They did
I don't
lose a
think they're
lot.
as good of a defense as they were.
Well, their key has been linebacker and D-line.
Well, it's
Yeah.
also the coach. The coach is the former D coach for the Carolina Panthers.
and they've
So-
also had a lot of coaching shots.